Now we're in a position to set the gear mesh for the motor. So bring your stand back. We need to just put the differential on, make sure that it's sat down. Now we need to put the pinion gear on the motor. Do just note that the standard motors, I'm not sure if you can see that, has got a flat spot on, and that's where the grub screw needs to locate. However, the uprated motor hasn't. So what we need to do, just make top of the pinion gear flush with the motor. Just tighten that grub screw down. Now we need to just make sure that those two gears aren't too tight. So at this point I just slacken off very fractionally the two mounting screws. I'm going to use a piece of paper, just ordinary paper, to put it through those gears and turn the mesh, and it'll pull the paper through. And can you see that just crinkles the paper? By doing that, we're going to set the distance, and we're then in a position to just tighten down both of those screws into the motor. Just check then again that paper runs through. It should then run very smoothly. Okay, now put the cover on. It just slots on the top. If you remember, there are two screws in the front which we just need to wind in. We're ready to attach the two driving wheels. So to reinstall the wheels, what we need to do is take the first wheel, mount it up, and you'll see there's a hex in the back of the wheel. It needs to marry up with that. Then we need to drop a little bush, and you may just need to make sure that it goes over. Load your nut onto the end of your spanner, and then just wind a couple of turns on. Same with the other side. This one's actually got that additional space, if you remember, so that can be mounted in the back of the wheel. And that groove needs to meet with the two ends of the pin. And again, drop your spacer in, just check it's over the thread, load up your driver, put a couple of turns on. Now, as we did before, just hold both your drive wheels and tighten up the nuts. Like that. We're now ready to put the chassis and the pod back together. So to put the pod back into the chassis, start with the chassis upside down. What we need to look for in the bottom of the chassis are the two holes. If you look here on this particular kit, they're at the back where the pod was mounted. Line that up, and as before, little back turn, drop in, and then tighten those up. Check at this point that your two motor wires are actually coming through to the front. And we then just need to mount up the rear shock. If you make the pod hang off the back of your work stand, you'll find this much easier. I'll just zoom in to show you closer. This spacer needs to drop down that section, and you'll see there's a recess that it'll sit in like that. Then you want to just lift that pod up so that the loop of the shock goes on. And remember that this screw had a O-ring on. It goes in the front. Again, you can now slide that on the stand. Tighten that down. And remember to tighten down the front screw also. Just check that that pod runs free. Now we need to connect up the motor wires that are here. At this point, make sure you get your colours the right way around. So obviously black to black. And they should push in so there's no metal showing after the connectors. For the front wheels, similar to the back, take off the wheel nut. Remove the wheel. In the wheel you'll see there is one bearing in the back. There's actually then one bearing in the front. So like we did on the back, if you just use a small screwdriver you should be able to push both those bearings out, and you can actually see that on this surface that they've already started to wear. Then what you need to do is with the new bearings pop them in, just check that they seat home, one in the front and one in the back. Put those back on the shaft, pop your nut in your tool, and then wind them home so they're just tight. You find if you over tighten them, there'll be resistance. They just want to be bitten on to the bearings. And you can see how much smoother that runs than the standard wheel. And we can now then mount our body back up. Just the body will then drop down on the mountings, and then we can just put the clips back, push them in through the holes in the body posts. And then we're ready to go outside for testing. I hope this helps anybody with the upgrades. If you've got any questions, comments or anything, and please do rate the video. Thanks for watching.